So how do you really get the maximum value out of LinkedIn? There's a lot of experts out there talking about that, but how do you really grow your brand? How do you connect with your ideal client on LinkedIn?
Welcome to Fordify Live with your host, Ford Saeks.
Well, to help discuss that today is one of the people who I feel is an expert, but I'm going to learn more about it today, and he's going to share a story. So Matt Clark, welcome to the show. Now, this is live right now on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, and a few other places. It's also the podcast for the Business Growth Show. So for those of you listening, this is Matt Clark. He's the chief igniter at thevirtualedge.com. Yes, put the in front of it, thevirtualedge.com. Welcome, Matt, to the show.
Ford, thank you so much for having me on here. I am excited about today.
Well, tell me, what's your background and why are you considered the chief igniter?
So my background actually comes from door-to-door sales. I had two business partners, and I've knocked thousands of doors. I've trained probably over 1,000 door-to-door salespeople, and my two business partners and I built a $6 million a year door-to-door sales company. So we really got deep into what does a sales process look like? How do you take someone that's never done anything before, never even sold before, and get them to sell their first deal within 2 weeks? And so when I thought about that, and I thought, well, how do we take this into the online world, and how do we recreate some of that? It kind of got me going down the journey of LinkedIn. I went down the Facebook and the YouTube journey, and I was like, I'm just not technical enough for this. I didn't even open up my computer for 8 years. And then when I got on LinkedIn, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the easiest thing ever. I can virtually knock doors from anywhere. I can skip the gatekeepers. I can find the exact person who I'm looking to connect with, open up a conversation, build a relationship. So that's what we've been doing for the past 8 years. And, it's allowed me to, over the last 2 years, build a business that gives us freedom. My wife and I have been traveling for the past 2 years. We've been to 24 countries. Our business is growing. We're having a lot of fun. It's amazing.
Well, so tell me, one of my other good friends and colleagues is Richard Bliss, and he's considered, who I consider one of the great experts on LinkedIn, because there's millions, of course. But one of the things that, he always talked about is that what makes LinkedIn different is it's all about the conversation, and it's not about pump and dump a bunch of content. And I know that, we get our inboxes flooded with all these messages about, hey, I saw you in this group, or you look familiar, and they look so spammy. I've started to just do connections without any message. But I'd be curious to know what you'd like to share with your processes, because, okay, so me as a Hall of Fame keynote speaker, obviously I want to build my brand, right? So that's why I have Fordify Live. That's why I have the Business Growth Show. That's why you're on the show, right? The more exposure, I'm on podcasts, and, just like you're on today. So I use LinkedIn as a social proof, trust, and relationship building. I certainly have used it to get straight through to the top level executives by adding value, sending something that's personal and useful and short, and being able to, add value first before I ask for the business. So that's my strategy. Mm-hmm. I've been paying for LinkedIn Sales Navigator for 15 years. I don't even use it. So that's a whole different conversation, I'm sure. I don't use it to the level it could be. I mean, I use it. So I'm just curious, whether you're a professional speaker, author, trainer, or expert, or whether you're a brand, or whether you're in sales, where should people start? Like I always tell people, fix your profile. That's number one. Fix your company page. That's number two. But where do they go after that?
Yeah. And, it kind of depends on what level you're at and how many connections you've built. For me, the most important thing is not how big your network is, but who's in that network. And
Right.
So our biggest thing whenever we work with people is we first take a look at who's in their network. If they don't have ideal clients, or people that have got their ideal clients as part of their network, or someone that can add value as a supplier or a prospect, or someone that can work for them, then we remove all of those people. Because as you know, if the algorithm favors you if you're posting content when people engage with it. So for us, that's kind of like the first step, is get rid of all the people who are not ideal clients or don't fit within that ideal client circle or network, because LinkedIn's not a social media platform. It is a networking platform. And so you want to be valuable to your network, and also have some asks for your network ready. Be valuable and have some asks ready.
Well, that makes sense. I was always of the belief, well, first of all, years ago, I mean, I've been working on, I was started as a digital marketer or a direct mail marketing, years ago, probably before you were born. And then I went into the internet, of course, and I understood the value of that direct response marketing because you get instant analytics, and I run a digital agency. And then I was using LinkedIn the wrong way. And then when Richard came along, he said, hey, this is what you're doing wrong. Now, this is interesting because I've always thought that the more connections I had, the more social proof. Now I have a lot, I probably say 70% of my connections are the right connections. I probably have at least 30, maybe even 40% that probably aren't. So I was concerned that if I got rid of those connections or, unconnected, that it might hurt me as not being more valuable. But you're saying it's just like a website. You want to prune the pages off a website that aren't getting traffic. Otherwise it hurts your ranking. So you're saying LinkedIn's similar.
100%. I mean, I maxed my profile out at like 30,000 people. I was speaking on stages all over the world, and people would just connect. And, you start posting content out there and it goes absolutely nowhere. And specifically for the reason because, well, they don't care about it because it's not relevant to them.
Right.
So the moment that happens, then it kind of dies a bit of a slow death. And that's not really fun. You're just posting stuff out for the sake of doing it. So, I always want to be very intentional, and I culled it down from 30,000 down to about 17,500 now. And we use it for everything. So for me, the big driving factor for LinkedIn is, yes, we do direct connections and, book calls and get clients and meetings and all the rest. But the bigger play here, because I'm always thinking about, well, how do we do the brand different? How do we scale it? How do we play a bigger game than just going after one-on-one clients? And that's where we start thinking of, all right, we run webinars. So one of our strategies is that we run 2 webinars a month, and we actually drive all of our traffic through LinkedIn. So some of it is just direct invite, being super valuable to people. We also run LinkedIn ads, which has been absolutely incredible. Yes, they are more expensive than Facebook or some of the other platforms, but the quality of people that you bring in is so specific that if they're showing up, they're exact right people that you want to be there. And then the third and fourth way is finding joint venture partners to promote me. And then also finding event organizers to go and speak on their stages to really grow the brand and, get more exposure around the world. So we look at it as a network, and we treat it as a network, and we're there to build real connections and relationships.
Yeah. And so if you identify a cold relationship, what's one of the ways that you reach out?
So on a cold relationship, depends on what we want to go for. And, this is where it comes back to what you said earlier, was having your profile so dialed in that when people look at it, they know exactly what they're going to get. Now, there's a couple of ways to do this. One of it is, I want to get more clients and speaking opportunities angle, where it's like, all right, you got to say what problem you solve for what people through what system or methodology. Or if you have got multiple businesses, then you've got to brand yourself. So slightly different strategy depending on what it is that you do. But for me in outreach, and I'm a big fan of using AI because it actually allows you, and there's some great tools out there at the moment, it allows it to actually go and put your voice in. It'll then find the common ground and read their profile and actually read the post that they've done, and then create a stream that will get them to create a message that will get them to engage with you on a deeper level. So for me, it's always about, hey, I've got something cool for you. Thought we could add some value. Let me know if you'd be interested in something like this. I mean, that's broad strokes.
Right.
But plug it into the AI, make it super personal, and then they feel like you've taken the time to actually go look through it.
And when you do your webinars and you're only promoting them, it's like, so for this, we're broadcasting this through StreamYard, and it's going to YouTube and LinkedIn. So we do it weekly. And then monthly, I do at least 1 or 2 sessions I've been doing a lot on AI, unleashing AI for any role. It used to start out as mastering AI, but people were like, I don't even know what it is. So we backed it down to unleashing AI for any role, because it really, a lot of people who think they're using it, they're really not using it to the level that they could. I mean, on a scale of 1 to 10, they're probably 1 or 2. Although when they first get involved, they think they're a 10 just because they were able to put a prompt in and get a result, but they're not really automating any of the processes. But when I do those webinars, I'll set it up through Zoom on a Zoom webinar. We'll do an opt-in page on our website. It's all automated through Zapier, so that when they opt into the website, it sends them all the messages and gets them on. But we broadcast it through,
Yep.
well, actually, we do that. We do the webinars through Zoom. But when we promoted it, we've practiced doing events, like posting it as a LinkedIn event. But people are confused because if they sign up for the LinkedIn event, they're really not ever getting on Zoom. So then we decided not to do that. So when you do your webinars, how are you promoting and getting butts in the seats?
So we actually do a LinkedIn event, and that was one of the biggest problem that we solved, was how do you get people from the LinkedIn event to actually go to a landing page or to register on Zoom and bring it across. So we built a little workflow for it that actually brings people across. So they click on there, and then we automatically get them we get them the Zoom link or the landing page link, and they sign up. And there's
so it's
another
still
way
a
which we do it.
It's still a two-step process, no matter what, basically.
Yeah, well, there is also another way where we've created a workflow where as people register for the event, it automatically signs them up on the Zoom meeting, and then they start getting the reminders as well. So we're
cool.
big, like as much as we can automate, the better, because I don't have the time to go.
Well, neither do we. That's why we decided, okay, we're just going to use LinkedIn to drive the traffic to the landing page. That way, when they're opted in, they're in the workflow, as opposed to creating a LinkedIn event and then trying to get them. Sure I've looked, I haven't looked into it enough to know. I mean, I'm pretty technical. My team's pretty smart. We haven't set that workflow up.
Love it.
But I think that's a really big part of people building their brand. I mean, LinkedIn has the pools of ideal clients. So if you have your profile set up and you've pruned your followers so that they're relevant, you're posting relevant content. What's your thoughts around, LinkedIn Live or posting videos? It used to be that was really a smart process. But I don't know so much anymore. I mean, I'm still going to go LinkedIn Live every week because that's the show I'm on, but I don't know about just posting a bunch of video on LinkedIn to try to get exposure.
Yeah, we've tested a lot of stuff, and even posting the videos, and even when we run webinars and live stream it to LinkedIn, it doesn't really get much. And,
right.
The integrations between any of the platforms are not great. I'll use the nice way of saying it.
It's okay. You can say what you want, but I get it.
Yeah, 100%. So what we like to do in terms of our sales process is I do use a lot of video. I don't post it as content. I send it as direct messages inside of, and that for me has just been the absolute game changer. We can go through people's profiles. We've got one of our tools that we use as a backstory will actually bring up their profile in the background, and I can walk them through the profile while it's going out, and you can mass mail that.
Yeah, I do. For our mass mail, we use Be Human AI, and then we use one called GAN, GAN, and then we use BombBomb for like personal videos. So if I have a discovery call with a client or something, but it's not really bulk. I mean, you can do bulk emails. If I take the email, scrape the email from LinkedIn and load it into BombBomb, approved for people listening to BombBomb, so I don't turn my account off. But so yeah, the power of video is certainly important. The power of personal connection. So if you've tuned in, we're with Matt Clark. He's the chief igniter at thevirtualedge.com, and we've been discussing how to really leverage LinkedIn, regardless of your role in your business. I mean, certainly we've got business brands and franchise brands and franchisees and speakers, authors, trainers, and consultants that follow me that are on this today. But, I always say, social media websites are just databases, and you want to fish where the fish are. And for me, being a Hall of Fame keynote speaker, obviously LinkedIn is the main place for me. LinkedIn, YouTube, because it's owned by Google and I want the views. I do post a few things on TikTok and a few others. I don't spend much time on Facebook other than to repurpose the content, because my main market is professional. So I use LinkedIn, but I'm always interested in LinkedIn, anything that can help. But the main takeaways, what we're talking about today, is that it's a networking platform, not a social media platform. It's not where you pump and dump content. It's where you really can build relationships. And so one of my first takeaways is prune my account. I'll definitely do that. What other types of strategies do you share with your clients or with the people that you work with related to LinkedIn?
Yes, so I think one of the biggest things is to get creative. So whenever we look at the business model, there are two ways to sell. There's two types of things that you can sell. You can either sell a lot for a little or a little for a lot. right? I mean, the goal is obviously sell a lot for a lot, but the two general types of business models, right?
Right.
So when you understand what your business model is, then you realize, okay, well, what is the strategy that I need to take? So if we're talking to people who are selling products, I mean, you're not going to go and sell bottles of water one by one on LinkedIn. It's going to take up too much time. So in which case, we put together a list of all the potential distributors and figure out, okay, how can we connect with these distributors or these people who've got them as part of their network? If you are a speaker or anyone that has a really niche product, one of our favorite strategies is reaching out to associations, reaching out to Chamber of Commerce, reaching out to people that have got that ideal client as part of their network. Sometimes you have to pay to speak to their audience. That's okay. They normally charge $500 to $1,500, not a problem. A lot of them will allow you to speak for free, and we've generated business and built such incredible connections by doing that. And it's easy because they're looking for content. Another way is if you want more branding, reach out to journalists, reach out to publications. We use this to get a lot of podcasts booked as well. I mean, I've got
that's what I do
5
too.
podcasts booked this week. Yeah, it's amazing. It's so good. And if you go with the right message and make it personal, people will almost always respond to you.
When you said that you created a tool, is there a tool, aftermarket tool, or is it something you created to go to prospect, look at their profile, and then to come up, or are you just manually putting their profile into, ChatGPT and saying, hey, find a connection here?
No, so we've actually got a tool that we use that has a combination of automation as well as AI. And so the automation will do, the reach out, the connections, the messages, all that stuff that the automation normally does. But then there's an AI piece that'll actually customize each and every single one. So once it's been trained on your voice, it'll actually write the thing for you. So you can do this, you can do 2 things. You can either just press play and let it run. I don't recommend that right in the beginning. Right? In the beginning, you want to be able to train it first. And then we've created frameworks for each stage of the conversation, because we typically see our general sales conversations go a couple of different ways. So we created a bunch of frameworks for that, plugged it in. So now when people start responding, I can go click a button, it'll write the message going for that particular outcome with that framework. So it's really taken the time spent, and for that level of personalization from, I used to spend 2 to 3 hours a day on LinkedIn down to like 20 to 30 minutes a day. And then as part of that as well, it's got the tool where I can shoot a video, and then it'll automatically go and find that person's profile and take that. It's obviously not a custom video per person, but one straight up video, like a generalized video. It'll put their profile behind me and it'll scroll through it while I'm talking.
Well, very cool. Now, is that a service you sell, or is that just something you guys have created?
Yeah, that's a service we sell.
Awesome. So tell me about the Virtual Edge. What else do you do there?
So we actually work specifically with service-based businesses, and we have a lot of fun. We help people to have massive impact in their marketplace, build sustainable growth using systems, and create a lifestyle that they love. And one of the biggest ways that we do that is really looking at the business differently. And I think this is one of my favorite things. I got a mentor that said to me the one day, and he's built like 40 businesses. He's taken 10 of them to the 8-figure mark. And he said to me, he's like, Matt, I think about it a little bit differently. He's like, I build my life first, and then I look at what do I need in order to get that lifestyle that I want? How much money do I need to personally make to do that? And then he said, all these other things are just boxes, right? Businesses, real estate, trading and stocks and all of that. Those things are just boxes. So now all I do is I stack the boxes one on top of each other. So I kind of took that thought process, and now we work with our clients and help them actually design the life that they want, and then create the business that helps get them there. And for me, that's one of the most fun things for me. And then we've got all the tools and systems. And, over the past couple of years, we've taken all of our thought processes, our frameworks, our templates, our scripts, everything, and we've built our own AI tools. So now, instead of people having to go watch hour-long videos and filling in templates and stuff, we can ask them a couple of questions and the answers just fly out, and it gets them like 80, 90% of the way there. So it's all about how do we use systems to make life easier and get results faster?
Well, I certainly appreciate it. So we go live, everybody, Wednesdays, 11 a.m. Central, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and actually a few other platforms now. And we've been talking to Matt Clark. He's the Chief Igniter at the Virtual Edge. Any closing thoughts you have? And then I'll play the outro and then just stick around when the outro ends. Any closing thoughts you have for our viewers and listeners?
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I would say is to everyone, and it doesn't matter if you're a CEO, if you're a salesperson, if you're a speaker, author, whatever it is, the number one thing that you can do on LinkedIn to really get your brand out there is to position yourself as an expert in a niche. And what I mean by that is not just everything that you do or an industry, but create a blue ocean for yourself. And generally, you do that by taking a piece of something that you do and get known for something. Like put your stamp on there and stand behind it and get known for something. Because if you're not going to label yourself, other people are going to do that. And you don't necessarily always want the label that they put on you.
Thanks so much, Matt.
Thank you for tuning in to Fordify Live. Make sure to like, comment, and share this episode on your favorite social media platform. And don't forget to subscribe to the Business Growth Show podcast, available wherever you get your podcast streaming fix. We air weekly at 11 a.m. Central Time. So until next week, keep pushing the boundaries and never stop growing.